Moving along here, the pandemic placed a strain on the foster care system, which was already inundated with children. Here in LA County, there's been a 25% increase in foster youth just over the last year. Our Taylor Torregano spoke with one organization who's trying to address the issue. Taylor.
Looking out over the freeway is another reminder of how far Junior Rodriguez has come. The buses down below were the same ones he would take as he ran away from his group home every day.
Running away, robbing, and just all that little stuff that, trouble kids do. Trouble inside them, like something needs, they want to be heard.
Junior says he was adopted at 5, but started having serious troubles in middle school, checking in and out of rehabs, hospitals, then foster homes and weather shelters. As he got older, he realized he wanted a better future. Now at 17, Junior says the person he attributes much of his growth to is Samuel Garza Bernstein, his Casa LA volunteer. Casa stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocates. The organization works one-on-one with children in LA County's child welfare system. Samuel says as a volunteer, all he has to do to make a big difference in Junior's life is be there for him.
We don't have to become social workers. We don't have to specialize like that. What we can do is ask the attorneys and ask the social workers and ask the educators, what's going on here? Is this, can we do something different? Can this happen?
Casa LA has a new CEO. Charity Chandler-Cole says this organization gives these kids someone to advocate for their best interests in and out of court when LA County's foster care system loses sight of the children behind the 35,000 files.
Doing that, deep work and deep digging to then make recommendations on, placements for this child, services and resources they should have access to, reunification efforts, and really just be that consistent person that's going to always fight for them.
Charity took this role as the organization's first Black CEO to change the way the system operates. She says many of the kids are entering foster care because of poverty, taken from one bad situation just to enter another one.
This is a huge crisis. If we look at, the number of children that experience the foster care system, that end up being incarcerated, that experience homelessness after, that experience poverty after, that do not go to college after, do not have successful outcomes, that's on us.
Because the system is made up of predominantly Black and brown children, Charity says it's a civil rights issue that only continues to worsen. Since COVID began, the number of youth in foster care has increased by 25%, a number Charity predicts will only keep rising as students return to in-person learning and teachers can report signs of abuse and neglect. She says these kids need help, the lasting support she never had as a survivor of the system herself.
We stole food to eat, we stole clothing to survive. And no one ever questioned why we were stealing food and underwear. They just put handcuffs on me, and sent me to juvie.
It's why she's so motivated now, working around the clock to secure resources, funding, and new volunteers to mentor more kids in the system, like Junior, who is finally on the right path.
Well, I wasn't alone, like a little army behind me.
Because it truly takes a village.
Sure does. One of my favorite quotes, it takes a village to raise a child.
And joining us now live via Zoom is Charity Chandler-Cole, who you saw in that story. She's the CEO of Casa Los Angeles. Good morning, Charity.
Great to have you with us. Thanks for your work.
Good morning, Melvin and Renee. Thank you for having me.
Now, we heard a little bit about your own experience with the system. You mentioned that when you spoke with Taylor. How did your story really inspire you to take action for this next generation of foster youth?
Thank you for that question. And I had such a horrible experience in both the foster care and juvenile justice system. And what, motivated me to take action was literally bringing a child into this world at 18 years old and being terrified that he would one day have the same experiences I had. That coupled with seeing so many little girls and boys that were in the system that really, just didn't see any life for themselves beyond the system. We were convinced that our lives had no meaning and had no worth. And we, could die, we could go to jail, we could be homeless. And not only did we not only care all the time, but no one cared. No one will question why we have these outcomes because it was expected of us. And I refused to be a stereotype, and I wanted to prove to myself and to the world that we are more than this label that's been given to us. So I wanted to not only fight for my sisters and brothers in foster care, but be a sense of hope and inspiration, and literally created this fantasy of what I thought that looked like.
Well, you certainly are doing that. And I have to tell you, your energy is so infectious and your passion just comes through so strong. It's just so admirable. It's so inspiring to just be in conversation with you this morning. I've heard you say that the foster care system isn't broken. but it's working exactly how it was created. What do you mean by that?
So what I mean is the foster care system is the manifestation of centuries of oppression, for Black and brown people. When slavery ended and our Black fathers ended up being incarcerated and being oppressed for the color of their skin, foster youth were the unintended consequence of, decades old, centuries old of oppression. What do we do with these youth when we incarcerate their parents and when their mothers are so depressed that they turn to substances and don't know how to live and how to survive and how to thrive in a world that, refuses to level the playing field? And, and then when we judge these mothers and we create this one standard of what successful parenting looks like, and when we don't meet that mold and that fold because, once again, there's all these barriers and intersectionalities of oppression that exist, we, then set up mandated reporting and all these standards that, give people the power and authority to judge us, to judge me as a mom and say, you're not doing it the way we see fit. So let's take your child from you. Let's not give you the millions of dollars we have in resources to help you survive, to help heal you and restore you. But let's take that money and give it to a complete stranger and throw your child in this traumatic system. And so the system was never designed for Black and brown kids. But when our children started to infiltrate this system, we decided, it was just a mechanism to, continue the oppression that existed. And so we're looking at ways to, help restore and heal this system because it's not broken. It's working how it was designed. But we, at Casa can, work within the system to say, hey, how can I take this child and help restore them, help heal them, help advocate on their behalf, and help make trauma-informed recommendations that are going to help them have not only successful experiences in the foster care system, but successful outcomes once they leave.
Well, we thank you so much for the work that you're doing. We thank you for being with us today. And also, I'm gonna need you to do a TED Talk, okay? You are so dynamic. I need you to do that. You are wonderful. Thank you for being of service to the community.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too.
And if you want to learn more about how to become a CASA or other ways to volunteer and support foster youth, visit casala.org. We'll be right back. Stay with us, everybody.